Hey, it's me. I'm finally getting on here to say some things that I wanted to say. I'm going to get right to it. The other day, the new Black Panthers were up in Georgia. His name was Mr. Christopher Foutte. Was talking on a talk show. I forget the gentleman's name. He was black also. And it was really interesting to listen to this young man because apparently the new Black Panthers have changed their agenda in a very definite way. Some of his points were that they support the Second Amendment and they don't want large government, they want small government, and that they don't want welfare from the government either. That, in fact, that they made their own welfare in the beginning, which was true in the Huey Lewis times. They helped their own neighborhoods, set up their own food banks, fed their own children, things of that nature. And I've just found this really interesting. The head of the Black Panthers right now is a gentleman named Hashim, and I can't even begin to pronounce his last name. But Christopher said that he was very close to him, talked to him all the time, and that also this young man's mother was born in Alabama, and she moved north and had regretted moving north. He didn't say why, but I wonder why that is. Mr. Hashim avoids interviews because he doesn't want the controversy, maybe, of their new rules. So, also something I found interesting is that Christopher Foutte supports President Trump. He thinks he's a good guy. He has not voted up to this time, but he stated that if Trump did run, which it looks like he probably is, in 2020, that he would indeed vote for him. Now imagine that, a Black Panther from Georgia voting for President Trump. You know, that is just unbelievable to me, but it's a good thing. Now, I didn't vote for Trump, but I would vote for him over some of these maniac Democrats that they've got running at this time. Mr. Foutte said that the fight is over with white people, that the thing that he wants to get across right now, in his own opinion, is to forgive the whites for past transgressions. And the example for this was that he was able and had the freedom to fly to this event, to get a hotel, to get a taxi, to eat anywhere he wanted to use any bathroom he wanted to, and that he just felt like it was time to move on to bigger issues and put the past behind us. He is Christian. And when asked what the Black Panthers' primary goal was, it was surprising because he said it was to make the make the new Jerusalem here, to make Zion relevant again. And it really surprised me because that's quite a controversial thing to say. Anyway, that is what he said. I'm going to put the links in the comments. But last November there was a lady called Stacey Abrams, and she was a Democratic socialist. In November, when the vote was, she did not ask for it, I don't think, but the Black Panthers were out in front of one of the polling areas, one of the voting areas in Georgia, and they had machine guns and things of that nature, just supposedly to ensure the vote. It was outright intimidation, but frankly, I wouldn't be intimidated by somebody with a machine gun if I really wanted to vote. But Mr. Foutte was asked if the Klan had wanted to rally out there in their white hoods and all this, would that have been okay with him? And he said, yeah. It would have been all right with him because he's not intimidated by the Klan. Indeed, he's not intimidated by anybody, that he's secure enough in his blackness that he is not insecure around white people. So it was really interesting to hear this, because he believes that he doesn't want to depend on the government. Indeed, he doesn't even want reparations. In his words, he does not want reparations from a white government, or, excuse me, from the government or the white men. He wants to make his own way in his life and be responsible for his own destiny. And that black men leaving the family in the 60s because of government welfare incentives was the beginning of the end for happy black conditions in the United States. Now, we all know, and I don't try to minimize, that there has been a lot of wrong done to black people. No doubt, okay? No doubt. But what he is trying to say, I believe, is that as long as you dwell on it and as long as you keep just pounding it in and go, he said that white people are sick of black people complaining, whining, and moaning and begging for reparations and going back over what was done to them in the past. That it's almost an embarrassment, because nobody now that is living now had slaves, okay, or contributed it to this situation as far as slave reparation goes. So I agree with him as far as the government incentives go, because if you are married or have a man living in the house, you can't receive welfare. That's just how it is. Everybody knows that. So a couple of points in the Black Panthers thing was, in their agenda, was government guaranteed jobs. And he said he doesn't agree with that. Make your own thing. You know, find your own job, be independent, be your own person, your own man, your own woman. And he also said a great deal about ex-President Obama, that he had the power and he didn't do anything for the black people, and that he is put up as being the first black president, and indeed he was, or mixed, but he didn't do anything for the people that voted for him. He said that the government, I am reading from notes because it was an hour-long thing, and I took notes down so I wouldn't forget. He said that black people needed to adopt a different mindset, and that the Black Panther rules, the original rules that were set in the 60s, are archaic and out of date for today's time. He said back then they were literally considering fighting a war, and that times have changed to a point where the Black Panthers rules needed updating. So he is saying that one of them is for black men to be exempt from the military. And he said that he doesn't agree with that, that if you're going to live here and take advantage of the system or your own initiative, that you need to, if it was needed, to fight for your country. He said that he was asked on the point if there was police brutality. And this is one point that really surprised me, because he said that, yes, there are certain cases of police brutality, but on the whole, it was white people that wanted to go home at night, insecure white people that wanted to go home at night, referring to the police officers. And that the black-on-black violence was more of an issue with him than I am assuming white officers. He is very concerned about the black on black amount of violence. And something else that he did say is that this is almost a direct quote, that he wanted Arabs and Indians out of his neighborhoods. He said that they are taking over small business. I don't know because I don't live in those neighborhoods. I am simply relaying what he did say. So he just made a lot of good points as far as that he wanted to elevate the Black Panthers from a violent, menacing presence to getting over the past and working to build the neighborhood. And it was very refreshing to hear. It was very surprising to hear. But I think the Black Panthers are doing some changes. And if they can lead, they may just have a really good opportunity at this point. To hear a young black man say that he would vote for Donald Trump because he's doing good things, such as signing the bill to revitalize the inner city businesses. Amazon wanted to go into Brooklyn, New York, and into one of the more financially disadvantaged places, and they were turned down because the people that lived there said, no, if you come here, then everything, the rental prices will go up, the housing prices will go up, the grocery prices will go up. No, we like it like it is, don't come here. And so all those jobs went somewhere else. So anyway, just something to think about. This interview took place within the past week or two, and as I said, this gentleman is a young man. He's 40, and he's from Georgia. So really surprising things. Really surprising things. Okay? So anyway, just a short little video to share some thoughts. And I might put another one or two up later. Okay? So anyway, good to talk to you.